Hey guys, should we just do like a hey thing?
Hey.
Hey. So guys, last week I posted a video titled Why I Became a Stepdad and What It Taught Me About Fatherhood. And obviously I talked about Risa quite a bit in that video, but I haven't properly introduced her or more importantly explained how it is that we met and how this whole relationship came to be. So that's what we're here to do today.
I'm down. Let's do it.
We're down. Risa and I met at an ambassador Risa and I met at a Lululemon ambassador dinner. She had just become an ambassador. This is 2017, November. She had just become a Lululemon ambassador, and so this was a dinner celebrating her and a couple other girls / people who became ambassadors. And I had just finished doing this 1 month influencer campaign with Lululemon, and this was the concluding dinner of that campaign. So that was our first time meeting. At the time, I was in a relationship that was going south. She was getting out of her marriage. You had already moved out? You guys were kind of like finalizing beats?
Yeah,
okay.
Basically, yeah.
Fair enough. So when I met her, I actually just met her as a person that I thought was interesting. She spoke English. I thought that was cool. But we probably spoke for a grand total of like a minute, maybe?
Yeah, I would say like less than two.
It wasn't a long conversation. It was a
just
dinner.
High and by.
Yeah. It was a dinner with probably, I want to say, maybe 12 total people. And she was sitting totally across the table. So there was one moment when we had a chance to exchange words, and it turned out she spoke English, which I thought was like, what? So I was like, oh, you speak English.
You speak English.
I had no idea you speak English. This is cool. So yeah, of course I thought she was attractive, but I was in a relationship and I've done a lot of dumb stuff before, and this is not one of those times that I wanted to do anything. So I basically met her under the context of, this is a nice person who is doing this Lululemon thing, full stop. What did you think?
Basically the same thing. I was like,
Okay.
oh, he seems really nice. I've never, I mean, you know my whole story, but so I was ending my 6-7 year marriage, and inside there were a lot of things going on, and I wasn't prepared or even thinking about getting into a new one. So honestly, in that moment, it was just couldn't really believe anyone or like any guys.
I remember.
Yeah, so like I was shutting out all the guys. I was like, hi. And
Yeah,
bye.
I feel like you were just being nice to
I was
people.
just
Like you were just
trying
being
to
like
be a
polite,
nice,
like a just polite person.
but
Yeah.
I wasn't really into the whole dating or meeting people thing.
Which leads to the next chapter. So, so we meet in November 2017, and then I think we like followed each other on Instagram, and she started posting all this content that I loved. That's twofold. One aspect of the content I loved was just like Instagram stuff. So, like, I don't even know how to describe that. Just like photos, to keep it really simple, photos where she looked hot is probably the easiest way to describe it. And at that time, I hadn't yet gone through my Instagram and like curated out all the ridiculous kind of like soft porn images of women, which I since have done. But at that time I didn't, so this was kind of just like another one of those in one aspect. But in the other, and what I was really actually drawn to was the messaging in her posts. And so if you remember, so the first time I actually messaged her on Instagram was because I was really inspired by the stuff she was writing. It was I had never met or seen any Japanese person post this, like empowering, net positive, like you can do it no matter, like you can. It was just really inspirational content that I feel like I'd never in English, that I'd never English and Japanese, that I'd never really seen any, in particular Japanese influencers posting about. So when I slid into her DMs, I actually wrote to her. We should find this and post it. But I wrote to her something like, "Hey, I know you're married and I know you have kids. This is not one of those messages. I just want to let you know I'm really inspired by your content, and like keep it up. It's awesome. It's like really nice. It's really refreshing to see this kind of thing in Japan." And again, her being in a position where she was being pretty dismissive because she didn't want to deal with guys, basically said like, "Thanks."
Basically.
That was basically the extent of her response, and I was like, cool. Again, she's got this kids marriage thing. I didn't know about the divorce at the time. I just thought this person's married, so I didn't want to step on any toes. So then at some point, I got out of the relationship I was in, probably early 2018. And I think so we kind of started going back and forth, like just about random stuff. And I wanted to know more about her. So I was trying to get her to come to Sogo boot camp. So I was like, hey, you should come to boot camp sometime, and she was totally just not having it.
I'm like, right.
she just like wasn't in a position to believe men, which I completely understand. So long story short, actually no, this is key. This is key. This is the moment. So so in these messages, which are like really net neutral platonic messages, I think I said again, I was like, again, I know we were messaging like this, and I just want you to know this is not, those messages. And, I think I said, because I know you're married. Mm-hmm. And she goes, do you remember what you said?
Well, I just got divorced, or
yeah, basically that,
right?
She basically said, like, actually, I think it's like, actually, I'm divorced, or something like really simple like that. And that for me was like, oh, like green light to get to know, to get to know this person at least.
It wasn't intended to be that though, but
yeah, I don't think you meant it that way.
No.
But when I received it, I was like,
okay.
So that was key. So once that happened, then I was like, okay, so I feel like it's probably okay to get to know this person. But again, like kids and all that obviously can't get particularly complicated, but I'm inspired, and she's really attractive. I'd love to kind of like figure out who this person is. So again, I invited her to boot camp, meet at the gym, whatever. She's not having any of that. So I'm like, look, I think at some point I'm just like, how can I see you? Like, tell me how it is I can see you. She's like, you could come to one of my classes. And I'm like, bet. I register for one of her classes. I rock up to the class.
Marty, you are the kind of person that doesn't do group fitness classes.
Yeah, I don't do classes at all. So it was like
quite surprising.
It was not exactly something I wanted to do. I'm not really a group fitness kind of person, but it was kind of the only way I could think of that I could see you. And I was like, I just want to see this person and like talk to her for like 10 minutes and just know who this person is. Yeah, so I like booked the class, and she must have thought like, oh, you actually booked the class.
Seriously coming. Okay, we're doing this.
So
did some Pilates.
Am I going to tell the class story? I think the class story is pretty good. I'm
No,
telling the class story. I'm telling it because it's embarrassing for her.
Stop.
Here we go. So I rock up to the class. Basically, she kicks my ass in this class because she knows I'm in it. There are probably like, I don't know, 7 or 8 total people in this class, and it's all pop Pilates stuff. So she's having me do like really simple but painful things like this, and like just like fire hydrant raises on all fours and things that I never do.
I actually created the entire track just for you.
The track was awesome, by the way. The song list was amazing.
And like the movements, so
you'll
never want to come back.
And I loved it. On the contrary, I loved everything. So she basically kicks my ass in this class, and then we finish the class, and we actually start doing some animal flow, which is one of the things I'm certified in, with a bunch of people. She's a big mover, so she was just like, down to try anything. So it's probably like 5 of us just moving, filming some stuff. And then we finished all that, and at the end I'm like, oh, we should take a picture together. And she's like, cool. So we give someone the camera, and I do the kind of get my hand behind her, kind of touching her waist, but like
really getting in there.
Like kind of got in there. It was on her waist. I didn't like get near her butt or anything like that, but I kind of like put my hand on her in that way that was like, hey, I'm kind of feeling you. Like literally, but also like, yeah. And when I did that, we did this flex because we do this at Sogo. So we basically did this. So my hands on her waist, we're doing this, and her whole body was shaking, like convulsing. And so I'm thinking like, wow, she's flexing hard for this picture. Turns out after we start dating, she told me that the reason she was shaking then wasn't because how hard she was flexing. It was because, yeah. I feel like you should explain it. You're the one.
You're really gonna make
this is my moment. This is my moment.
Okay. I wasn't really sure what I was signing up for, but
we're getting right in there.
This is happening. So for me, I'm not really impressed many times by like guys, just like seeing them like physically and all that. It really comes down to how they are as a person, their personalities, how well they move. And so seeing him move really well, although he was in pain the whole time, like during the class it was like, oh, this person can actually do things. oh, he's an athlete. Oh, I see you. And so that was like a good thing. And then like talking to him after the class was like, oh, he's like a normal person. He's not like a creeper. He knows how to like treat women well.
I put on my best face. So.
You did a good job. A+. So that, and then obviously his physique and his like everything is very okay. And then the picture happened. So at that point I was like, okay, I guess this is sort of nice, and I haven't been like this close to like a guy in probably years. And so that's where all the like, oh my god, this is happening, I don't know what to do feelings came from.
Awesome. So that moment happens. I leave the class. I invite her to one of my classes a few days later, which is an animal flow class. She comes to this class. I'm also going to explain this because it's probably equally embarrassing and wrong from a trainer perspective, but it happened. So she comes to my class. Okay, this is not okay, but it happened.
Trainers don't do that.
She comes to my class, and it's an animal flow class. So you're kind of on all fours doing all this stretch-based, active stuff. And it was a pretty big class. It was like maybe it was like 12 or 14 people. It was quite a big class. Anyway, might have actually been bigger. I go around the class and I'm kind of helping people with form correcting. And I go over to her, and obviously I'm thinking now this is my second opportunity to kind of like, somewhat tactfully get my feel on, which again is like wrong. If you're a trainer, don't do this. But at this stage I already knew, like, I could kind of feel there's maybe a thing brewing here. Yeah, so just, corrections like, oh, you should just, careful corrections. Like, I'm not a complete perv, thankfully, I don't think. But, but kind of just like taps, like, oh, so you want to move this back, or like try to do this, and then like same thing, but kind of hips. I don't think I did anything really vile, but anyway, so it was my second opportunity to do that kind of thing. And I think she had the same kind of response, which, again, at the time I didn't really know, but I kind of had a feeling based on the fact that she even came to this class after not having seen me for like months, because she was just essentially blowing me off. So class finishes, she does great, she's a great mover. Class finishes, and I ask her, like, hey, would you want to go out? Like, maybe a couple friends together, not like a one-on-one date thing. Because again, I actually really just wanted to kind of get to know who you are. That was my biggest thing. I wanted to just like talk to you. To understand more about you. And so, again, we ended up going out. I think it was that same day. It was a Saturday. I think it was that same day. So we ended up going out, and that's kind of when fireworks happened. I got one of my friends who was also a Lululemon ambassador, Maha, and her partner at the time, to join us. So to like basically, I told Maha to convince her to come out with. I got Maha and her partner to come out with us, so it wasn't just us. And then we ended up seeing a bunch of friends out there anyway, so it was a group of people. It wasn't like a date. It was kind of like, let's just meet at a bar and chat. And yeah, it was that night when we really finally got to talk, not in the context of fitness. And I realized, like, this is an amazing person, and I definitely want to spend more time with you. Yeah. So that's the long story anyways. That's how it all started, and then the whole, dating thing happened, and that's probably for another video. But again, shooting this because a lot of people asked how we actually met, and essentially that's how. We met in the context of fitness at a dinner. I eventually she blew me off for like months, and then eventually I got fed up and went to one of her classes because she said that's basically the only way I'm going to get to see her. She then came to mine. We then went out together, and the rest, I guess, is kind of history. That's right. So if you have questions about that, or where, I feel like one of the common questions is like, where do I meet someone like who speaks English and all that? And to address that quickly, I've lived in Japan for 12 years, and I have, obviously, prior to marrying Risa, which is 2 years ago, or dating her, which is 4 years ago, that means I spent 8 years essentially dating on and off different people and just like having fun in Tokyo, which is a pretty wild city. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, I'd love to move to Tokyo, I'd love to find a partner, ideally one who like speaks some English but is also Japanese. Frankly, in my experience, and this is probably for another video, but I'll just really briefly say, having dated a whole bunch of people, I can safely say that the only kind of person that at a certain point, I realized that the only kind of person I could actually gel with is somebody who has some degree of international exposure and can speak some degree of English. That doesn't apply to everyone. There are plenty of foreign men and women who come to Japan and wind up dating people who basically only speak Japanese and getting married and having kids and all that. Sometimes that works out really well, sometimes it doesn't. I knew for myself and basically the majority of my friends in my circle who are not Japanese that kind of thing just doesn't work. Like we just
like culturally and
there's just so much.
Yeah.
The way we describe it is there's Japanese, which I would consider Risa, and then there's what we say, or what I would say is like Japanese, which is essentially just really Japanese. And I think for myself...
Am I considered Japanese?
You are in the Japanese category.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you're basically probably more American than Japanese, but she was born in Japan, lived in America for 16 years, and then came back to Japan when she was probably 17. Is that right? 17?
Like here?
Yeah.
No, I came back when I...
18? College.
In college.
18, 19. She spent all of her formative years in America, so in her heart, she's basically American. And for me, again, that kind of thing really works. Like, I'm very American, and there are just a lot of cultural differences. Language itself can be a massive struggle. I speak a decent amount of Japanese, and we could essentially converse in Japanese. We could probably do this in Japanese, but I'm not. そうだね. But I'm not fluent. ペラペラじゃないから、英語の方が。でも上手だよね。上手かな？上手じゃないだと思うけど。
でも上手だと思う。
ありがとう。So anyway, we can speak some Japanese, but it's just much easier in English, so we do English a lot. The kids is a combination. So, without going on too much, if you've got questions or comments, please drop them as usual. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do so. If there's anything you guys want to know about, again, myself, Risa, Jasmine, the kids, Josh, Luna, anything, please go ahead and shoot it in the comments, and I'll try to get that to you at some point. Alright guys, peace! Peace!